Welcome to Nothing Without Us, stories and discussions about meaningful inclusion. We will talk about accessibility, true inclusion, and disability justice with stories, policy updates, discussions, and related commentary on the value of being accessible and inclusive. We believe life should be accessible for everyone, and everyone should be included in all aspects of life. I am your host, Annette Bourbonnier. I am a 70-ish year old woman with short gray hair and eyeglasses. I am sitting in a power wheelchair, and my service dog Kirby could show himself at some point during the podcast. This podcast is captioned. Please press the subscribe button at any time during the podcast if you have not already done so. It will not cost you anything, but it will help us make this podcast grow. You are also welcome to make comments in the chat and to give us feedback about what you do or do not like. We especially appreciate a thumbs up. This month is National Service Dog Month, and September 20th is National Service Dog Day. So today, I am happy to welcome Becky Canale, Client Relations Manager from PAWS with a Cause. Now, full disclosure, my dog Kirby is a PAWS dog, and I could not be more satisfied. Welcome, Becky.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about yourself, how long you've been at PAWS, and what you do as a client relations manager?
Yeah, I have been at PAWS for just a few years, so it'll be 29 next month.
Wow.
So have done a lot of different positions, but my current position, which I have had for quite a long time as a client services manager, is to oversee our client services department and our training department. So our training department is the one that directly works with and trains our service dogs like Kirby to meet the specific needs of the individual that they will be working with. And our client services department assists potential applicants in going through the process of requesting and acquiring a dog. And then we work with them throughout the life of the dog, just being there to support them if they have access issues, making sure the dog is still doing its tasks and meeting the needs of that individual, and helping them through the process of the unfortunate eventual retirement of their service dog. And then if they are still in need of the support a service dog can give them, helping them through the process of obtaining a successor dog.
Okay, great. Yeah, I do not look forward to the retirement of Kirby for sure. Thankfully he's healthy and still loves his job. So okay. So how long has PAWS with a Cause been providing service dogs to individuals in the disability community? I know you provide around 40 dogs a year.
So we started in 79 as a at that time we were known as Ears for the Deaf. And we started specifically just working with hearing dogs for individuals with disabilities. And then in 1985, when we started training service dogs with people with physical disabilities, we had the name change to PAWS with a Cause, which is what it is today. And today we train dogs for individuals that have hearing impairment, physical disabilities, seizure disorders, and children with autism. And we are researching starting our next program that will start in 26, and that will be some medical alerts services that we will start providing. So right now, the next couple of years, we will be placing around 30 to 35 dogs a year, and that's really because we're in our capital campaign. So we had to bring our dog numbers down a little bit as we are losing buildings as they are rebuilt, just to be able to meet our needs better. So our long-term goal is by 2030 to be back up to placing 100 teams a year. So fingers crossed.
100. Wow.
But it'll just take us a couple of years since we had to reduce our breedings and all of that for the capital campaign. It'll take us a few years to get our training staff and our dogs back up to a production level that we hope to obtain in the next 6 years.
Wow. That is a big wonderful thing to do. What medical services are you talking about having dogs perform?
So we are researching right now what we are going to do, but we are pretty sure we are going to be offering diabetic alert dogs.
Okay.
And we currently train dogs for individuals with POTS, but we do not train POTS detection. And a lot of the research that we are doing and talking with other organizations,
Yeah.
they're showing promise for dogs to be able to alert to a POTS episode before it happens. So we will hopefully be adding that. So we will be able to expand on how we serve that disability.
Right.
And then also offering diabetic alert.
Right. That'll be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that would be actually very helpful. Yeah. So, and of course you can combine skills, correct?
We combine all of our programs with the exception of our autism program, our autism service dogs for children with disability, our autism program for children. Oh my God. Our service dogs for children with autism only work with that autism diagnosis.
Okay.
Our other programs, like our service dog, our hearing dog, and our seizure response programs, can be combined.
Okay. I'm thinking, diabetes and mobility assistance, that like my Kirby, that would be a great combination.
So yes, so we will be doing we're going to be starting with just type 1 diabetes. But if they have other disabilities besides that diabetic alert need, they would be able to request that.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So you just broke ground for the new facility, and you said that you're expecting to be training 100 teams a year. Is that your goal?
Our goal is to be able to train 100 teams by 2030.
Great.
And so yeah, so we quote broke ground, but we really we are adding on kennels, but our buildings, the exterior of our buildings will not change.
Right.
The interior of the buildings are getting major overhauls.
Right. Yeah, I saw in the brochures that where you've got model streets and kind of real life things besides a gym, for the dogs to train on.
Yeah, we are so very excited about our building that's going to be the training in our client services building. So we will have 2 apartments. We will have what we call a main street that will be going down, and it will have things like curb cuts and different types of gradings, different paths, textured, I guess is really what I'm thinking of, for the dogs to get used to. We will also have a little cafe that will have a multi-function ability. So it will be for training, and it will have like a bar counter. It will have booth seating and table seating for the trainers to train at. And it will also function as our break room, lunch room for people who are working in that building. Then we are going to have a storefront that has like double commercial doors with a vestibule in between. So we see that a lot in public. So that'll allow us to train for that before heading out in public. And then it will just be a mock store inside with aisleways and things like that for the trainers to train in.
Right. I can tell you that I get comments from store managers about the behavior of Kirby in the stores. Very, very positive comments.
Mhm.
I said, oh, well, we can tell he's a real service dog. His behavior is just impeccable in public. Once in a while, he likes to test me at home, but in public, he is proud of who he is and knows his job and works with purpose. He's really impressive. So
Good.
yeah, so and so intuitive. I think dogs tend to be intuitive, but sometimes he really amazes me. Um, I don't know. This is just a very short story. I got him just before COVID hit. I mean, like 1 month before COVID hit. And so it wasn't long before we were going outside with masks. And this was before we were certified. There was one time I forgot to put my mask on and had his leash and I was going to take him out and he sat there. And I'm telling him, "Ah." And he literally booped the drawer with his nose where I kept the masks. And when I took out my mask, he was ready to go. And that kind of this is in the early days of having him, long before we were certified. It was
Mhm.
probably the second month I had him, if that. So these dogs really contribute greatly to the well-being of their persons. So
Yeah, they do. They can, take some of that training we give them and really go far exceed what they have learned from
right.
us.
Yeah, they do. And like I say, people do comment. And so, I tell them, it's the really best organization to support and they need grant. They do everything from grants and public funding, because you don't charge us. And that is just, I would not have been able to do it if you did.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
so will the process of application be the same once the new facility is built? Are you going to use the same process essentially, or?
So yeah, so we our process that we have that we've used for the last several years is um, one that we really like. So we have a typical and open enrollment every year, usually January, February, March, where people can request an application. Sometimes some of our programs are closed. Um, Sometimes everything is open, and it's always available on our website to know if our programs will be open for the following year. So our 2025 open enrollment will start somewhere around that second week of January. You individual who is interested would come to our website. They would request an application. There's about 12 questions that are like a prerequisite, pre-qualifications to see if that individual would be somebody who we could train for. If we feel like we could meet their needs, we then send that individual a full application. They will typically have several months to complete that application, have a deadline to return it. Once we have reached that deadline, we then start reviewing all of the applications we have received. And after they have all been reviewed, we determine who can move forward to having an in-home assessment, which is done in the late summer, early fall. And then typically by the holidays, people will know if they have been fully accepted to receive a dog. And then the process will start all over again in January.
Yeah, yeah, it is, at least I understand it's a little bit shorter for a replacement dog, but it's a long process. However, I really appreciated it. First of all, it kept me informed that there's something going on here, but also how much you valued the role of the individual as part of the team, uh,
Mhm.
and how much you wanted to make sure of the success that would take place. So I valued it, even though I was still like, why can't I have one now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
PAWS is
get it.
a little bit unique in how we custom train our dogs.
Right.
So all of our dogs are individually paired with the person that will eventually receive them, and then they receive their trainings with that individual in mind. So our trainer will actually try to become that client, and
Yeah.
will try to mimic their specific abilities. So if they have limited range of motion on one side, that is what they're going to do when they are training that dog. So that dog has used to the physical abilities of the person that they will eventually go to.
Right. Yeah. And early on in the process, I was still sailing regularly, and I noticed that one of the things that was done was tested. He was tested on a sailboat before they decided he would work with me. They sent me a picture of him on a sailboat. And while I'm not sailing these days, he has been on boats with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know at that point in time, yes, we had somebody who worked with us who unfortunately is no longer with us. But yeah, he sailed and he competed in competitions. So
right,
do you believe Kirby went out on his sailboat?
right, yes. And one of Kirby's favorite places to go these days is to tennis.
Okay.
We kid that we're going to train him to be a ball dog. Uh, but I live near the Tennis Hall of Fame, and they're a client of mine, and so I go to all the matches, and we're within walking distance, really. So he picks up his tennis ball and he carries it with him and walks in proud as can be because he's going to tennis, and he's amazing. I mean, I was a little concerned that he'd want to go chasing them during the matches, but he knows, nope, no, that's not his time to play. One time a ball came over the fence and he stood up like, want me to get it? But he just fits into the situation the way he should. And it gives me so much confidence being able to do these things and know what his behavior is going to be. Um, and that's a big thing. And that is thanks to PAWS. So I tend to talk a lot about PAWS.
Good. Keep
Yes.
talking.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Do you have anything else you want to add about PAWS with PAWS?
Oh, um, so it is a very wonderful organization to work with and to get a assistance dog from. Um, uh, One of our other unique things is the use of our field representatives. So
Right.
I know Ellen was yours. Um, and our field representatives are the ones that will teach the end user, so the recipient
Right.
of the dog, how
Right.
to become a working team with that dog. So um, uh, we don't just drop a dog off, come to your house and drop a dog off.
Right.
So an individual who receives a dog will get about 6 to 9 months
Right.
training with one of our field representatives that come into your home and teach you how to utilize your dog. And not only do they come into your home, they go with you to the environments that are important to you
Right.
to train in also.
Right. Yes. And that was really very helpful. I had had dogs before, but not service dogs. So that relationship is very special, very special. Um, and and helped me build that. Karen was the one that was with me at the time,
Oh, okay.
Ellen now is the recertification one. I saw this most recently, but it was Karen, and she just really helped build that relationship. It was great. I was very, very happy. Right. So one more thing, if you could remind our listeners that you do not charge us for these dogs and depend on grants and donations to do the amazing job you do. How can people donate?
Yeah, so that is right. So it costs over $30,000 to train a dog. There is a very, very small fee of $50 to request an application. That is the only fee that an individual pays at this time to receive a dog from us. They are responsible for the yearly cost of ownership. So once that dog is in their care, the vet bills, the food expenses, the grooming, that is on them. But all of the training that the dog receives and all of the training they receive to utilize the dog is at no cost to that individual. So we are very, very much supported by fundraisers that we do, grants, and private donations. An individual can make a donation to us via our website, which is PAWS with a cause.org. So PAWS WITHACAUSE.org.
I will include that link also in a card at the end of the podcast. Um, you know, so I thank you so much for joining me today, Becky. You've given my listeners important information about service dogs as well as about PAWS. As I said at the beginning of this podcast, my Kirby is a PAWS dog, and I've had him now for 4.5 years, and he gets better and better all the time. He has made such a difference in my life, and my only regret is that I did not sign up for an assistance dog earlier. So, I thank everybody for listening. I'm Annette Bourbonniere from Nothing Without Us, Stories and Discussions of Meaningful Inclusion. Please hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. I really appreciate comments and I read them all. So tell us who you want to hear from and what you want to hear about. Upcoming stories include a continuation of the Crypt the Vote subseries, a discussion of how profitable it can be to include a discussion of how profitable it can be to include persons with disabilities. I have a really great guest coming on for that. And the story about how some very special people came together in a meaningful way to help me in a truly difficult situation. So I'd appreciate you telling your friends about this podcast, which will be available on all your favorite podcast outlets. Visit our website on patreon.com, where you can find all our episodes. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Threads. So until my next Nothing Without Us, this is Annette Bourbonniere.